All right. So put one hand over your sternum, one hand on your belly in whatever comfortable position that you're in. We're going to warm up with something called box breathing. This probably has some other names to it. We're going to control our inhales and our exhales. It's just a different way, a little bit more of a measured way to warm up your diaphragm. One of the most important muscle of your core. It sits on top. Also super important muscle for controlling your nervous system, your vagus nerve, and your parasympathetic state. Okay. So our box is going to look like this. You're going to inhale through your nose, and I will count you through this. But we're going to be inhaling for 3 seconds, holding our breath for 3 seconds, exhaling for 3, and then inhaling again, holding again, sorry, and then inhaling again. So in between each inhale and exhale, there's going to be a hold for the same amount of time. Right? Ideally, we're doing everything in and out through our nose. So put your imaginary piece of Scotch tape over your lips just so you can't mouth breathe. And we're going to do this 3 times. Then we're going to increase it to 5 seconds. So we're going to jump from 3 to 5. We're going to start with 3. Okay, you guys ready? You can do this on my count or at your own pace. Go ahead and when you inhale, we want to try to move the bottom hand and not this top hand that's on our sternum. Okay? All right, go ahead and inhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold it for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 1, 2, 3. And hold for 1, 2, 3. That's 1. We got 2 more times. Inhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold it for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold for 1, 2, 3. That was 2. One more time. Slowly inhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold it for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 1, 2, 3. Inhale for 1. Hold, sorry, for 1, 2, 3. That was 3. Shake it out. Take a couple normal breaths. Okay. Big good morning stretch. Move your body how you need it. What is it telling you today? So ultimate intention of this class for the next 40 minutes is for you to kind of turn your brain off from all the chatter and have a conversation with your body. What does it need? What is it telling you? Okay. So if it's telling you to just lay there and breathe the whole class, that's fine. That's okay. You can do that. All right. How did that 3 count box breathing go? Good. All right. We're ready to do 5, a 5 count. Mm-hmm. So on this longer count, I want you to take all 5 seconds to fill your diaphragm up as big as it can get, or your belly breathing and your low back breathing as big as it can get. Okay. And then at the end of that breath, when we're holding, we're just capturing that breath. So we're just like, it's like we're filling up a jar with air and then we're putting the lid on it for 5 seconds. Okay. On the exhale, we want a slow but full and complete exhale. So at the end of those 5 seconds, we're totally empty, or that jar of air is completely empty. Okay. Here we go. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was 1. We're going to do it 2 more times. Go ahead. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was 2. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take a couple normal breaths. Shake everything out. Very, very good, everybody. Love it. All right. So that is a drill that you can do anytime that you feel stressed or disconnected, or a great way to warm up your diaphragm. Does everybody feel like they can take a couple big, deep breaths in and out? Are you feeling that expansion go low? We want it out of the sternum. Nothing's moving up top. Everything's going down into our belly, our low back. Yeah. Go ahead and hug your, it's okay, hug your knees into your chest. Mariah, I'm gonna have you shift over to your left just a little bit. There we go. Hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice big hug. Roll your low back on the floor a little bit. Give yourself a little back massage with the floor, side to side. Pull your knees wide towards your shoulders. You can grab knees, shins, ankles if you can reach them. Feet, toes, arches if you can reach them. Good. So a couple big, deep breaths here. This time we're going to take that little imaginary piece of tape off of our lips, and you're going to inhale through your nose. You're going to exhale through your mouth. I want you doing 5 of these. On your exhale, I want some sort of audible noise. Okay. It could just be like fogging a mirror or fogging a glass. It could be a sigh of expiration. It could be a 4-letter word. I can't hear you. So whatever you need to let go of right now. With your knees hugged, I want you feeling this nice and super deep. I've been doing some reading. I think I talked about this maybe a couple weeks ago. We did a little self-massage on our feet and on our toes. So if you have access to your feet right now, if you want to sit up and grab them, or you can just grab them in the position that you're in, go ahead and find that joint underneath your big toe. And you can do definitely 1 foot at a time. Just like a little baby grabs their toes. Grab that big joint underneath your big toe, the big knuckle joint, and give it a little love. Give it a little massage love. Maybe a little more tender. You're like, whoa, I didn't know that was sore and tender. Yeah, it works every time we take a step. And essentially the muscle connections all the way down to our feet go all the way up and influence our pelvic floor, the bottom of our core. Diaphragm's on top, pelvic floor is on the bottom. And then we've got abdominal muscles all the way around. In the front, the sides, and our spinal muscles in the back are part of our core. So we need to take really good care of those as well if we want to have a strong, functionable core that can adapt to changing biomechanics and demands, especially in pregnancy and labor and birth. So yes, your big toe is all part of that. Anybody finding 1 foot more tender than the other, 1 toe more tender than the other? Yeah. Maybe there's a pattern there. Maybe you found a sore big toe on the same leg that maybe you've got knee pain or hip pain or a low back pain or something like that. Might not be a coincidence. Okay. Oh. All right. Shake it out. Give yourself a big good morning stretch. Big giant inhale. Big giant exhale. Let's get to moving a little bit here this morning. Okay. I want everybody to go on all fours and go to the back corner of your mat. We're just going to get right into some fun movement. Okay. All right. Couple what we call segmental cat cows. So I think pretty much everybody's familiar with a cat camel. You're gonna be on all fours and you're gonna take your whole body and your whole spine into flexion and then extension. You see Mariah behind me. And when you go into extension, Drop your spine, drop your belly down towards the ground, and you're going to try to look up at the ceiling. And you're going to hang out here. And then when you tuck and go into flexion, I want you thinking about tucking from your tailbone. So your tailbone is going to start and initiate that motion. And then the arc of your back is right in between your shoulder blades. Okay. So we're going through this, what we call segmentally. So one little piece of your spine at a time. Okay. We're going to do about 6 of these, 3 in each direction, just at your own pace. Nice and slow. Tuck the tailbone to initiate that movement. And then top of the arc is between the shoulder blades. When you're tucking down, chin gets tucked too. So we're moving from our tail to our chin. 6. Flexion, extension. No right or wrong way to do this. Just get things warmed up. While you're in this, if you want to, you can shift your hips side to side, whatever you feel like your body needs, okay? Mm-hmm. All right. You guys ready to move a little bit? Okay. So if you have a yoga mat, you can use that as a guide, and we're going to trace the outline of the yoga mat, and we're going to crawl. So from on all fours, I want you to move opposite arm, opposite leg at the same time. So we'll opposite hand, opposite knee, right and left and right. So you'll probably take, if you're on a regular size mat, 3 or 4 baby steps, baby crawls up to the top of the mat. 1, 2 over to the left or the right, and then backwards, and then to the left, and then forwards again. Okay. I got Mariah behind me. Nothing's braced. We're just crawling, trying to move opposite arm, opposite knee at the same time. So they leave and they come back down to the ground at the same time. We're going to take a couple trips around our yoga mat. Okay. No right or wrong way to do this. Let's just start getting moving. Try not to think about it too much. Your brain your brain knows how to do all these patterns of functional movement. We're kind of turning on and engaging the part of our core, the muscles in our core that crisscross the midline. This is a great way to wake up your brain. I probably need to do this morning. How are you doing?
Good.
Good.
It is a little thinking.
It does take a little thinking, yes. But if you're going to think about anything, I want you to think about this. Good. So about, 3 or 4 steps, crawls forward and backwards. And then when you are going side to side, we're doing about 2. So about the size of a rectangle, about a yoga mat-ish size. Good. I'm gonna have you guys reverse in a minute. So whatever direction you started going in, stop where you are and then reverse it. Yeah, there you go. And give me maybe 1 or 2 more trips around your yoga mat. And then we're going to take a break and drop into a child's pose when you're done. A little bit harder going this way.
Well, I started thinking about something else.
No.
There it is. You said child's pose.
Yeah. Okay. Drop into a resting position or a child's pose, and we're going to come back and bring a little bit more attention to that diaphragm breath and getting that breath. Okay. So probably that might have left you a little bit breathless, surprisingly, right? All I was doing is crawling on the ground. What the heck? Okay. So on your back, on your belly, we're just getting into a position where we can focus back on our nose breathing, a little bit of piece of tape over the mouth, breathing low into the diaphragm, 5 nice, slow and controlled breaths. So our heart rate probably got just a little bit elevated with those, or at least our attention was more on what we were doing with our movement and not necessarily with our breathing. We're going to come back to that crawling in a couple different ways. And every time our focus and our attention is going to be on something a little bit different, and we're just adding some layers. So bring your focus and your attention back to your big, slow, deep nasal breathing diaphragm breaths. Making some noise, even if you can, through your nose and on your exhale is great. Good. Okay, and when you are ready, after you've done a couple nice deep reset breaths, come back to your mat on all fours. So come back to that crawling, ready to crawl position. I have all the cups today. Smoothie, coffee. All right, so now we're gonna take 3 trips in one direction, then reverse it, 3 trips in the other direction around our mat. You guys all look like pros. You've got the whole move left hand, right knee at the same time. Now, when you're moving that way, I want you to imagine that piece of tape is over your mouth. We're breathing in and out through the nose. And your breath doesn't have to be timed to hands or knees. It doesn't really matter. Just want you to continue to do that same type of really deep diaphragmatic breathing while you're moving. Does that make sense? Okay. So if at any point you need to kind of slow things down and take a pause and take one of those big diaphragm breaths in, that's fine. Okay. These 6 trips, 3 in one direction, 3 in the other, you can go ahead and get started. The most important thing I want you thinking about is, am I breathing through my nose and is it going low into my belly and low into my low back and my pelvic floor? That looks good. You have to imagine some music. A little bit harder thinking about your breath. Maybe?
Yes.
That was a question. Yeah. Somewhat rhetorical. Take breaks as you need to. It really looks good. This is always so much harder than you think, right? And little 4-month-old babies just, no,
Casual.
I'm way ahead of myself. 6, 7. Eight months old, you know how to do this. Let's scoot around the kitchen. We'll run away from mom. Run away from the dog. All right. Drop into a child's pose when you're done with your 6-ish, 3 in each direction around your mat. Mm-hmm. I want you to just let everything melt. Relax. We're not learning anything new with these movements. These are all patterns that we have ingrained in us because they come pre-programmed. They're how our core and our spine, diaphragm, pelvic floor, how it all integrates in together to take us from a squishy little blob that lays on its back to upright, can walk, can run, can jump, can lift. So we're really just reminding our muscles and reminding our nervous system that it still has access to these, because as adults, we tend to overuse certain patterns and we don't use others. So we overuse the ones that look a lot like sitting, slouching, hunching, that type of shape. Okay. We're gonna come back to our crawling, and now we're gonna do 6 more laps in either high bear or low bear. So if you've done these before, you can choose, you can mix it up if you want. If you've never done these before, you're gonna play around with, from that all fours position, tucking your toes. So we're going from walking on our knees with our back legs to walking on our toes. So when you tuck the toes and you lift the knees off of the ground, all they have to lift is just a little bit, or they can lift maybe a foot or two. It's going to require you to engage your core a lot more. And I want you to do that by filling it up with air and pressurizing it, like someone's about to come and punch you in the stomach, or you're about to laugh really, really hard. Okay. And you can set that up, set that pressure up before you start to move, and it'll make moving a lot easier. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You may not make it all the way around before you need to drop back down to the ground, shake it out, reset, take another big breath in, reset that pressure, and then keep walking. Okay. So our hands stay the same. We've got a nice soft bend to the elbows. Instead of walking on our knees, we're going to tuck our toes, lift our knees off the ground a little bit, and use those big toes that we massaged earlier to take us around the mat. Okay. Your booty can be just hovering at neutral, or it can be a little bit higher up in the air, up to you. So we can go to a low bear or a high bear. Now we've added another layer. We're still moving. You guys can go ahead and get started. We're still moving opposite hand, opposite toe, same time. We're still breathing down low into our belly. We're doing 3 trips around in one direction and then 3 trips around in the other direction. We've got big, low belly breaths, pressure in our core. You eventually should start to feel this in your booty. If you're feeling it really burning in your quads and the front of your thighs, stop and take a break and reset. Probably lost our good deep diaphragm breathing. We want our core doing a lot of the work here. Core in the front, diaphragm up top. And this is now bringing in some more leg muscles, mainly the glutes, the muscles in the back. How are we doing? Much harder than it looks. Mariah's very quiet behind me. Breathe. How are we doing?
My hip flexor.
How are your hip flexor? Okay, yeah. Yes, if you're feeling this like hip flexor, quad, anything, if you're feeling it in the front and not in the back, take a break, reset. We got some muscles trying to sneak in and do more work than they need to. Yeah. Good. All right, I got Bridget in child's pose. All right. That probably got your heart rate up a little bit. Yes? Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Find a resting position, child's pose, on your back, wherever. We're going to jump right back into our box breathing to calm things down. Okay. You can box breathe in any position, and you can do it to a 3 count, a 4 count, a 5 count, a 6 count would be super challenging. Now we're going to go back to our 4 count. We skipped our 4 count before. So we're going to do our 4 count now. I'm going to count you down. I'm going to do it with you or talk you through it, I should say. See if it feels any different. Okay. Go ahead and inhale through your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4. That was 1. 2 more. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4. That was 2. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4. Beautiful. Shake it out. Breathe as you would like. You're going to meet me in a high bear. And we're going to do 5 big, deep diaphragm breaths here. So start in your all fours. If you've never done this before, tuck your toes and then lift your booty up towards the air. And you may kind of have to shift hands and feet. So I do want your heels as close to the ground as possible. Knees will still have a little bit of a bend to them, but they're relatively straight. I do still want a little bit of a slight bend to the elbows. And this is a big difference, unlike a down dog in yoga, I want as much space between your shoulders and your ears as possible. So if they are way up here, push them down. From this position, we've essentially flipped things upside down. So now our pelvic floor is higher than our diaphragm. Can we still take a big inhale and push that diaphragm down, in this case, up towards the pelvic floor? Okay. So 5 big, deep inhales through your nose. I want you to try to still feel that expansion of breath into the belly, the sides, the low back, and if you're a rock star, into the pelvic floor. So a similar sensation happening as when you were in that like happy baby, knees in towards shoulders, chest here. Okay. Totally fine to kind of wiggle around, switch side to side, change, kind of just move, change positions, get comfortable, reset. 5 deep breaths, heels as close to the floor as possible, hands on the ground, elbows bent, shoulders far away from the ears, shoulders move down towards your hips. Can you get into this position and still take that same kind of deep diaphragm breath while you're in essentially what's an inversion? So we've got hips higher than head, pelvic floor higher than diaphragm here. Yeah. Okay. All right, when you're done, drop back down to your hands and knees, take a break, and roll back over onto your back, into that happy baby. Give yourself a hug. Roll out side to side. Hug the knees into the chest. No more crawling today, okay? We're done with that. Good. We are going to roll a little bit though. So, before we learn to crawl, we essentially crawl on our backs. Babies lay on their back and they move their arms and they move their legs. And then they start rolling side to side. So we're going to practice the roll, the transition. Bring your arms and your legs up like you're holding onto a big ball, like a big blue physio ball, the one that's like right behind Mariah. We've got Elbows bent, shoulders as far away from the ears as possible. Shoulders are getting pulled down the back or sides of rib cage, I should say. We've got our biceps and our triceps turned on or squeezing. We're pretending to squeeze this ball that's going to help engage the shoulders and bring the ribs down. So our ribs are not flared. Our back is not arched. It's not necessarily flat against the ground, but I don't want it arched. So think, squeeze that ball, bring the ribs down in line with your torso. Your knees are wide and your feet are high. So knees wider than hips, feet higher than knees, whatever that looks like for you, that is great. Okay. So we're going to hold onto this imaginary ball and we're going to rotate and rock side to side, starting with our eyes and our neck. So look, turn, roll. Look, turn your head, roll. Your hips and your shoulders, that's great, Margot. Hips and shoulders are connected and they roll together.
Do you want us to completely go?
If you can go all the way over to your side and end up with your tricep and your IT band on the floor, they should land at the same time. Beautiful, Mariah. Then you're going to use the pressure in your core to roll you back to the middle and then to the other side. You essentially have a pole coming out of your head and then all the way through your torso. And you are moving like a rotisserie chicken. That is still the best metaphoric cue I can give you. And have a little fun with this. Maybe one side is a lot. We're going to do about 5 on each side. Maybe one side is a lot easier to go to. Maybe one side is a lot easier to get out of. We're not trying to, so we don't want to separate the arms and the hips and the knees. So when you get to the ground, we're not necessarily trying to push off of the ground with one arm or one leg, more so just generating force from our core and going side to side while we're taking deep breaths in. All these things. But transitions are not meant to be completely perfect. So if you were practicing the movement, you are doing it right. Everybody that I can see looks fantastic. How do we feel doing this? Yeah, and you can play around with, your brain wants to twist. We're trying to resist twisting. The only twisting that's happening, we can look and turn our neck first before hands and our shoulders and hips move. You guys look good. Keeping everything engaged and neutral. Look, turn, and then good, Deb. All right, when you've done about 10 of these or so, hug your knees back in towards your shoulders, chest, grab knees, shins, ankles, arches of the feet, big toes. Come back to your big toe, maybe one at a time, and grab that big toe joint. Give it a little bit of love. Maybe it feels different now than when we started. Now that we've woken up our core and our pelvic floor, maybe that has translated all the way down into our legs and our toes. Yeah, one at a time is totally fine. Give your big toe a little massage love. Good, good, good. Switch feet if you haven't already. we are going to end with one more round of box breathing. We're just going to do a 3 count. 3 rounds of a 3 count box breathing from whatever position you would like to be in right now. Wherever you would like to be. On your back, on your belly, crawl back in bed. Inhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold it for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold it for 1, 2, 3. Inhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold for 1, 2, 3. Inhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold for 1, 2, 3. Let's do one more. Inhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold for 1, 2, 3. Big giant breath in, however you choose, through the nose, through the mouth. Stretch your arms and legs up overhead. Move your body, whatever it needs. Happy Saturday, everybody. Woohoo! I think everybody on the call right now is in Georgia. It's a little frosty this morning.
It was.
It's better than the negative 35 that my parents have right now. Anyway, that is all I have for you ladies today. You did great. I'm going to end the recording and then we can stay on if you want for chats.